Good evening and welcome to Enterprise at 8. This is Live Along and Podcast Star Trek Enterprise Rewatch Series. How exciting. I tried to give it a little bit of flair today. What do you guys think?
You are fair to the flare.
I am fair to the flair. All right. It's been over 20, it's been around 20 years. I actually modified that just in case.
20 years plus a day.
Plus a day, actually, yes. Since tonight's episode, Desert Crossing, first aired, but we're just getting started here at Enterprise at 8. I'm Jody Simpson, and joining me is my co-host and the man who also doesn't enjoy Essence of Man in his blood soup, Adam Woodward.
No. That probably would have been a good meal if they didn't tell him what was in it.
Yes. Yeah, he probably would have just slurped it down too.
Yeah.
And whatnot. Really maybe gargled it a bit.
But I got to tell you, Clancy Brown.
I love Clancy Brown. I love the episode so much. Yes. Also joining me, our awesome producer and the man who is not easily offended like Sabral, Dave Mater.
Yes, exactly. My whole take was on the whole essence of male, but that was went to Adam. So I'm just kind of glad. A coma sounds nice. I'll go with that. That was maybe my highlight.
There you go. There you go. Episode. And of course, guys, who could forget the guy who was hoping Archer would get hit way more while playing Geskna, Kevin Millard.
I was hoping Jack Sparrow would come and do some swashbuckling. What was with that music in that scene?
That was crazy.
Slow motion.
Yeah. It's almost like they went to like the sound bank and they're like, okay, I need a royalty-free song. The only one we got is one on a pirate ship.
Yes, it might as well take place on a pirate ship.
Yes, sire. Anyway.
But that was like, shades of the original series. You couldn't wait to get their shirts off.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, it's true. It almost reminded me of the beach scene in Top Gun.
Top Gun, too. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
as working for the weekend,
I think Dave's enjoying this a little too much. Anyway, tonight's episode is Desert Crossing, as was mentioned. This is the 24th episode of the series. This is the episode where an Archer and Trip are invited to a desert-like planet by an alien leader. They discover he is a terrorist who has lured them onto his planet under false pretenses. Meanwhile, T'Pol, while in command, faces a tough decision when she cannot locate Archer and Trip in the desert.
What was her tough decision?
I don't know.
What to do,
I guess.
Okay.
What do I do?
At this point, she's been in charge of that shit many times. Like, I don't think she's really new.
It's always the same
anymore.
thing. She should really have this down by now. Go get the captain.
Yeah. Obviously, we have to retrieve the captain.
Up again. He's stuck somewhere. I better go get him.
This guy's an ass. Why does he keep going out? Every time he gets an invite,
at best,
something goes wrong.
Yeah.
You think they would just leave him on the ship from now on? Yeah. And they should never let Trip and him travel together, because every time the two of them travel together, there's always some sort of issue.
Trip's bad luck, man. You're gonna get stranded with Trip somewhere.
He didn't even want to go, Dave. He didn't even want to go.
He
tried
to tell
in this whole bunch of episodes that we're going through now, Trip really gets the blood to the blow, because in next week's episode, he also has a problem, but this time he's with Malcolm. So it's he just kind of Trip seems to be like the card. Like if you're like going on an away mission with Trip, you're going to be screwed.
He's the opposite of a rabbit's foot. It seems like.
Yes. He's literally a bad luck charm, I guess. But anyway, overall, what'd you guys feel about this?
It was whatever, sort of, for me. Like, it was like, I like Clancy Brown, and without Clancy Brown, this episode is nothing. It would be.
Yeah,
but it was very slow. It was a slow episode.
Yeah, it's very much paced like an original series episode, though. Like, it's really slow. There's not a lot there. There's way too much greet. There's way too much tomfoolery, and then all of a sudden, there's a story.
I like all that stuff. I didn't like once they were in like traipsing across the desert. I was like, oh my God, do we need this? This is Shuttle Pod 1 again. Like, it's the same thing again. Like, except not funny in any way.
No, there wasn't anybody drunk.
Yeah.
I think that would have made that better.
But I was into this episode right up to that. Like that's my only gripe with it was the desert.
I think it's a standard episode. I don't think there's anything terribly wrong with it, but it's like a normal original series episode for me. Like I can take it or leave it. Doesn't bother me, I guess, but it also doesn't make me go, yeah, I want to watch it again.
In an original series episode, though, there would be like sort of a moment, usually for Kirk, almost exclusively for Kirk, to have like sort of his like great point here. And they kind of try to give that to Archer here at the end. He's like, I have a feeling their cause is just. Oh, well, that's credits. And
that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, it's just it's very anticlimactic to me.
Yeah,
like really, like the big moment is like DePaul has to convince Clancy Brown to help them, and he's like, oh yeah, okay,
which I really liked. I liked that scene. I liked her guilting him through his emotions into helping them, and I thought that was really good.
Yeah, for somebody who doesn't show emotions, she's really good at guilting other people with emotion. So.
And the repercussions, because really all these things happen because of what happened at that Suliban encampment, right? Like this is because he's starting to get a reputation as somebody who, will take on people and fight or whatever in Detained, which was only like a couple.
Yeah, and we see that again in next week's episode too. As I said previous, this is the Ryza trilogy, in my opinion. Next week they actually get to Ryza, but we still hear about the solo band stuff and all that. So I agree with you.
This
Dave.
was me. I was like Porthos waiting for them to get to Ryza. I was like, hang out with Clancy Brown on the desert. Okay.
Porthos just wants to hit a beach somewhere. That's all he wants to do.
So does the captain. He had a place picked out and everything.
Yeah, Soraya Bay.
Yes, which next week we'll see. But yeah, it's very anticlimactic. I think is probably the best way to describe this episode. I think you kind of got it exactly.
What they're going for is like for Trip and Archer to be like Kirk and Spock, but neither of them can carry a show. No. Like they're I don't know. They're too broy. If that makes sense, like
well, I like Malcolm and Reed better, like Malcolm and Trip.
But think about that. So you've got the captain goes and tells his engineer that he wants him to come on a way mission. Oh, I don't know, Captain. I got a lot to do here. I got to change the manifolds or whatever. I don't know. From a guy that couldn't wait to leave the ship at the first episode.
Yeah, now he's literally like trying to find any excuse not to. Well, he probably knows he's like
stranded, so that might have something to do.
Like, if you're Trip, you shouldn't leave the ship because every time you leave the ship, shit happens. So maybe he's like, I'm really like bad luck. You don't want to go with me, Captain. Maybe that's what he should say.
What was like? Did they give us the date in episode 1? I just wanted to check like how long they've been in space now.
At this point, they've been over a year.
Last episode, I think they said 10 months.
April. Okay, they launched on April 16th, 2151.
So this is February.
February of so it's like not even a year, right? No.
Yeah,
it's a long time without a break, honestly.
10 months. Yeah.
10 months. Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. Like they need a break, and so they did. I don't know. Like they didn't have to go to dinner with Clancy Brown. Like they could have made something up. He's like, I'm easily offended, Captain. I'm easily offended. And he's like, okay.
And he had a motive in place, right? He wanted to get them down there.
Yeah.
And they wanted to show off their spiffy desert uniforms.
Oh, I did like these.
I got a couple issues.
Let's hear it.
Of course.
Okay. Well, first of all, like as a desert uniform, a baseball cap's probably not the best version. You'd probably want something a little bit more like turbanish or like towel-like we see with like Cisco later on in Deep Space Nine in that first episode of season 7 where they go. That's a better version. Also, if you're going to put the rank pips on the collar and it's a zip down collar, I have my same issue here. Then the pips get covered up when you unzip. And what's the point? Put them on the chest, and that's really about it. Otherwise, they're good. Like I guess my other thought too was like they come up with like very selective things when they left Space Dock, right? Like they didn't have their weapons, as they mentioned here. They're like, oh, we had a rough tale with some aliens, but then we installed some new weapons, and it was good after that. But like we kind of they left with like desert uniforms, but they didn't leave with phase cannons, and it's just kind of like they were sort of prepared in some ways and not so prepared in other ways. But I guess that's just
Maybe they're just like you, Dave. Maybe they love the uniforms and they're very focused on it.
Well, clearly, yes, and I think that that's
They got a lot of uniforms.
the costume design department was had a fun time with this one. I guess I had to make 2 of them, right? But yeah, it was. Here we got another shot here. Desert pants with belts too, right? Like you don't see too many Starfleet uniforms with belts like that. So it was cool.
Well, we also have to remember this is a desert planet, but when it's not light out, like when it's dark out, like at nighttime and whatnot, it might be pretty cold there. So maybe that's the reason why they have to have like this kind of hybrid outfit.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
It was like and they got I guess like they kind of got the zippers like the.
I like the ball cap. Because now I think the color of the ball cap's a bad idea in that heat. But anybody who's ever played ball hockey in a black hat would know that.
I played with the black hat.
Yeah, it gets hot, right?
Wow. Right.
But either way, I like that because that's a nod to the Navy thing. Because obviously the Navy guys they generally wear baseball caps.
That's true.
In that scenario, so it is. I like that.
But look, like they should have something more like Clancy Brown. He's got like the big.
He lives on this planet.
Yeah, and the other thing too was like these are very Caucasian looking guys for guys who live on a desert planet. Normally, you would have a bit more color, exposed to that much sun on a regular basis, at least in standard biology, Earth biology at least.
Well, maybe their sun's different.
Yeah, but this isn't necessarily a desert planet. It just has a lot of deserts, and now they live in the desert.
They kind of talk about that in this episode where Earth is Earth's like 2/3 ocean, right? And like that's for them, that's like crazy, right? Like they're like, wow, like, and they're maybe 1/3 water, if anything, if that.
Well, and they might also be living in the desert because they are terrorists, and it's a more hostile environment.
From the cities to the desert.
Well, yeah, this episode's a little bit on the nose too, because this is, I don't know, whatever. It's about 8-9 months after 9/11, and this episode's kind of
Taliban. Yeah.
I think has some. I think the writers were thinking about the morality of terrorism and whatever, and I think that's kind of what this episode's about. Is that,
but they didn't. The only thing they didn't do, like I get what this episode is going for. Like it's going for that, and for like. When she's talking about Archer having to come up with rules and about first contact, and I get all of what they're going for. It just doesn't have the same depth. Like they sort of gloss over.
Yeah,
any of the morality.
It's like everybody's thinking what T'Pol said. Sooner or later, Captain's going to have to establish some rules. When? Yeah. When is he going to do this? Like we're halfway. Like. Yeah, we're in. Like
I love how that came up in Strange New Worlds in the premiere, where he's like, the Vulcans invented first contact protocols. He's like, you never forget to remind us of that, don't you? And because they're kind of like you. Like,
well, we see that later in the series, though. They do establish those things. So
I know you like that part of the show. Like they're kind of bumbling idiots at this point.
Yep.
And
love that part of the show.
That's my favorite thing with you.
I hope they incorporate some of that stuff.
That these guys suck. You're like, I want to see Section 31 show because I want to see guys who aren't good. I want to see like morally compromised stuff. I'm like, what? Like Starfleet?
Well,
Star Trek
how many hero shows do you need, Dave? That's what
Star
I'm trying to say.
Star Trek is supposed to be about idealism and being like above kind of like. Bad.
Well, I guess they're above everybody else. But
you think Discovery is about idealism?
It's too much.
Yeah. Especially
have you seen it?
Holy.
It's it's like sometimes I think like that was kind of the problem. The writers were like saying to Roddenberry in like season 1 or 2 of Next Gen, they're like, how are we gonna? He's like, there's no conflict among the humans or among the main crew, because in the 24th century we wouldn't have conflict. And they're like, how are we going to write a story without conflict? So
Yeah.
I think interpersonal conflict rather, like, you know, so I think you there's kind of a balance that they've been trying to strike since Star Trek really came along. Obviously, like, you see McCoy and Spock have issues, and there was conflict going back to the original thing, but I guess I'm looking for them to sort of be a little bit above it, a little bit like what Roddenberry was going for, that sort of you aim to better yourself and the rest of humanity, and, you know, hopefully that's going to rub off, and, you know.
Well, that's what these guys are doing. They're just not good at it.
Yeah, they're trying.
It's not like they're out there to like profit or anything. Like they're just out to explore, but they fuck up all the time.
Yeah, and they just didn't really think it through in a lot of ways. I think when they we end up in this
in next
situation.
week's episode, you see how pretty much everybody fucks up, which is
Right.
a fun episode, I think. So,
All right. So coming back to Clancy Brown, this guy's got the best personality. He's so like, he's big man. He's got a big personality. He's got a big voice.
yeah, he does.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the reason why he does like tons of animated work as well. Like he's a regular on SpongeBob. He's been in tons of different movies.
He's
as
Mr. Krabs.
voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Mr. Krabs. And
he's-
like all that.
You suspect he's the villain, but he's this big, gregarious kind of.
He's the lovable teddy bear that always looks
Yeah.
like he's going to be the bad guy.
It's
Yeah.
a fantastic performance.
Like
Yeah,
I loved
episode.
him in Starship Troopers. I thought that was
Sergeant
great.
Zim.
Medic!
Sergeant Zim. Yeah, he's also
Guy's head just gets blown off.
He's the
Medic!
voice of Lex Luthor and like Superman and like a lot of the Justice League stuff.
Yeah, he does
Go-
even voices in video games work as well.
Yeah, but
like,
my favorite of him is Kurgan in the original Highlander film. You
Yes.
know, when he was like, "Rub
well,
me
he's in
your
Shawshank as well, right?
Shawshank, yeah,
Shawshank,
that's another
yeah.
great performance by him.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown, one of the best actors of the late 20th century, early 21st century.
Who I'll
right?
forget his name come tomorrow, but I know exactly when I see him who he is. So it's always like
he's-
that, you know.
Yeah, he's got like
Look at his
interesting-
IMDb profile too. I love.
Oh,
the
yeah.
picture.
Yeah, I've seen it earlier. Yeah. But yeah, good, just great. He gives a good performance in this episode, I think.
He doesn't disappoint ever.
Yeah, it's a good performance, and that's one thing I did like about this show. We did get a lot of people that were guest stars. We got really good guest stars in some scenarios. We got guest stars that we wouldn't necessarily think should be on Star Trek, but they turned out to be great too. So that's another thing.
Does
I
he
like
ever
about
come
this show.
back? Is this a recurring role? Or is this a one and done?
No, this
One
is
and
a
done.
one and done.
Okay.
Yeah,
You got to have great, like, so far from what I've seen, you got to have great guest stars because the crew, they're not holding down the fort.
I'm almost thinking like when they were putting this crew together, they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have a guest star every week, but we don't want them to be overshined by anybody on the show. Okay, we'll get Scott Bakula. You know, like, is that what
Yeah.
went down? Maybe it went down.
Well,
like
I just
that.
think
Who
that
knows?
like they hoped for. I think that the chemistry between a cast and a crew is sort of like, I don't know if you can manufacture it. I think sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Well,
Next Gen was amazing. That's like the epitome, I think.
Well, even if you look at DS9 in the first couple seasons, like
Well,
you don't
yeah.
really get a good feel for like the characters intertwining very well,
Well,
and then
Same with Next
later
Gen,
on
actually.
they do. Yeah,
It was
Next Gen as well. Yeah.
Maybe we just didn't get enough. I mean, we've talked about it before, but enough seasons of these guys before they went off the air.
It's
3 and
possible.
4
I
still feel
don't think
good.
They use Phlox or Hoshi enough. They're
Yep.
two of the best characters.
And
Mayweather.
Phlox is completely absent from this episode. You don't
Yeah.
you don't see
They
Phlox
mention him
all in
once.
this episode. Yeah, they mention him, but that's it. So
Yeah, like I think you're right. The Deep Space Nine's crew
he gets
lacked,
a great scene
lacked
next
that
episode.
early on, but they found it. I think when Worf gets there, and the characters like Garrick really and Rom really sort of added to like the chemistry of the bigger ensemble. You know, I think that it's Voyager. I think's okay. It's kind of like in the middle of the road for me. And then this is, I don't know. Like do you love when you see Archer and Trip on like
You know
on a-
what, though,
No.
Dave? I think you already said it. You know, you don't get enough of everybody. You don't get enough of the ensemble. You just get to Paul, Trip.
You
and
get a
Archer.
lot of stories where there's two focal characters, and then everybody else is just sidelined for the day.
And then Reed's like, I got an idea. And then T'Pol's like, what are you gonna go down there and fly in the middle of a firefight? dumbass.
Reed is the warp of the show. He's just always.
He literally is the
no.
warp for the show. That's true. He's like, we can kill it.
Yeah, they're like, well, you
Even
can't.
I could disable these 3 satellites. She's like, no, find something else.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like
Poor
Mayweather
Reed. He
and
never gets to
Hoshi-
blow anything up. Like,
Mayweather and Hoshi, like, what are they like? What are their personalities really? Like, they don't have much of person.
well, you see more personality of Hoshi in next week's episode. Mayweather.
Oh,
meh.
she's good when she actually has a role.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
even
I don't
even-
hate her nearly as much as I
even-
remembered hating her.
Even briefly in this episode, that her talking to T'Pol about, why Montana, why
Right.
like that was a really good scene and a really good performance there. But that's all we get of her.
That's the problem in especially in season 1, we get a lot of like 20 minutes of good dialogue and stuff like that, and then the rest just feels like it shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like we get a lot of that they were going in the right direction, but they just didn't finish it. You know what I mean? Like it's like designing a car, but they only designed the front end. Like it's
and this episode did seem to end again.
Yeah.
Just abruptly, like, and with no climax at all. Like, it's just like, oh, the ship is here. Oh, Archer thinks it's he's going to shoot at it. Then he realizes what it is, and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like, what? You
Yeah.
set up this whole thing, and then that's the end. Like,
yeah, like I don't even know of another Star Trek episode that quite felt like this one did, because it was really just like, I guess that jailbreak thing I did with the Suliban had sort of repercussions. Okay, see you next week. It's just like it's just sort of it feels like a chapter in the middle of a book a little bit, And so they're trying to be episodic, and then they're trying to find that balance like Deep Space Nine had.
This is like episode 8 and 9 of Picard season 2. Like, you get some stuff, but you're like, meh. Did I need it?
I guess so. Like, it's just like, well, was it worth the squeeze here? Take Clancy Brown out of this. I don't think we would feel very good about it.
No.
I think it's just we liked him, and I think that Kevin's right that episode, that whole like sort of moral quandary of like, well, why did the Vulcans set down in Montana? How did you know the other countries weren't going to have an issue with that? And Paul's answer was sort of, I don't know if
because we did.
It wasn't fully satisfying to me, because it was just like, well, we just hope for the best or whatever.
Well, I like their answers. Like, well, that's where the warp ship came from. Like, so we have to.
Seemed logical.
It seemed logical to put down.
But I guess like this planet, like others, like it's one thing that you've invented warp drive, right? It's this, but if your planet is still like a bunch of nation states that are competing with one another, and you're not a unified world government, shouldn't that be more of the test of whether you want to have like diplomatic relations with and be part of the interstellar community? Because otherwise, it's kind of little dicey, like like how are you gonna sort of be, oh, well, I'm friends with these nation states on this planet but not these ones, and you're kind of picking sides, and it seems like, I don't know, like the planet should probably work those issues out first before,
right?
But I don't know. What do you think, Jody?
I don't know.
Well, they say that on Earth, the Vulcans showing up that unified Earth.
Yeah, it was the fact that Earth all of a sudden, took a back seat to the fact that they weren't the only ones around, and they got to, they now are just this small fraction of the universe, right? So I guess it was a unification thing, but
there's a next gen episode where like it's like there's like the two groups on the planet, and there's like 3/4 of the planet is this one group, and they want to join the Federation, but there's like the other quarter doesn't want to, and I think Picard, I think, is the one who's making the argument. He's like, this doesn't work. Like, you can't.
Yeah, you either have to all be good for it, or you have to all say no. Yeah.
If they can't sort this out and unite as a planet, then it's all for naught. It's going to end badly, and that's in the 24th century. That's 200 years after these events. But I have to wonder, especially with what we're dealing with now, with Russia and all of and we're very fractured people. Like if aliens even existed, for sure, and they knew about us, would they even want to talk to us? Because why?
Well, we don't have warp drive yet, so
you see this in
That's the thing about Star Trek, though, is they always talk about how the Vulcans united the Earth together. Is that because they had to unite because they were worried about a threat?
Maybe.
Or
I think that's why Vulcans go to planets that have warp drive. I think it's preservation. Because those planets suddenly are a threat.
No. I meant humankind, banding together to fight whoever. But that's a good one too, Kevin. I mean, yes, let's intervene before they become a problem.
Right.
There's another show Gene Roddenberry. I guess he created, or I don't know, or he wrote at least the outlines. It was called Earth Final Conflict. I don't know if you guys ever watched it.
Yeah. I saw it.
And in that one, there's these aliens who show up, and they kind of send an alien ambassador to each country on the planet. And so, but United States being a pretty important country, is more of the focus of the story.
Yeah.
But it's it kind of gets complicated, it's trying to work that out because it's sort of fractured ambitions, and each. It's kind of it's a whole bunch of tribes, right? And each tribe thinks that they're the best, and United States or China or Russia or the big countries of the world who want to sort of be the leaders of the world, But I think the point Star Trek often tries to tell us is you're all kind of one people, whether there's no best people on a planet. There's no best. The Bajorans from Musilla province aren't better than the Bajorans from Kendar province or whatever. It's.
But you got to wonder, though. I mean, just like this episode, so you've got the Clancy Brown faction plus the other government, and they're both vying to get the attention of the Enterprise crew. Who are they gonna align with, right? Because they know this is a powerful ship, lots of weapons. If they decide to fight for one of them, it's a game changer.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I believe that's the way we would act here on Earth too. Everybody vying for the attention of the alien race with the big weapons.
Right. That would be an interesting prequel to show more of what went on with the Vulcans and the post First Contact days, because it's kind of we see First Contact and then the next kind of installment is the 90 years later. When Archer's taking off into space.
And it really does illustrate the need for rules and rules of engagement.
Yeah.
You can't treat anybody differently no matter what they're going to do.
I just want to be clear. I don't want a Star Trek show where I have to watch Vulcans all the time. That would be horrific. How boring would that be?
Your rebellion.
I can barely stand. I can barely stand Spock in Strange New Worlds.
What is it?
Punitive spiritualism.
Yeah.
Your rebellions will only lead to punitive spiritualism.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've kind of gone a little off track here. We're supposed to be.
It's a good discussion, actually.
Oh, it's a great discussion. Don't get me wrong.
Because the episode sucked. So I mean,
well, I wouldn't say it sucked, but it's. Well, let's break through it.
You want to get back to Lacrosse?
Well, I don't know if we really need to.
Oh my god!
Shirts and skins, Jody.
Shirts versus skins for sure. Yeah, this is basically just Lacrosse. I guess because the major market is apparently I haven't taken my pills. The major market, obviously, for Star Trek is the U.S. And maybe the U.S. doesn't know that much about Lacrosse, but to everybody else, this is Lacrosse.
They play
for
Lacrosse
the most part.
in the United States.
Well, I know they do, but I don't think
American
it's as popular.
It's
Stifler.
Lacrosse mixed with the wiffle balls that we used to get in school. The little scooping ball.
The scooping balls, yeah.
Scooping ball, and it would change. The ball changes color, I guess,
depending on which stick it's in. Yeah, it changes color, I guess. So I guess it's to indicate what team has possession right now.
Yeah.
So it was, I got like a Harry Potter vibe thing going on here, and it's just like meh.
Yeah, it was kind of a Quidditch.
It's because of the small little net.
Yeah. Honestly, it's the music. It's the music.
The music is brutal.
I don't remember this. I'm gonna go back.
It's
They
just
really,
so
they
off,
really
yeah.
tried to sell this
Can't.
game to us. They were like, "Look how badass this is!" Like you. Can...
Well, you know what I thought was interesting though, if you actually look closely, so Archer has like a ton of wounds, like from like fighting people and stuff, but Trip, who is also getting his ass whooped around, has no battle scars.
Trip
or
was like
anything.
flying everywhere. Like
and he's
he
like
had
all over the
serious
place.
airtime. Then he was like upside down, falling on his back.
But Archer has got like cuts on his chest, and he's got cuts on his back, and all this. And then you have like
look at that face.
You have Trip. Trip just has like some dirt. Like that's all he's got, right? So it's like
Trip was, he didn't even want to come. He wanted to work on on the things. Yeah, they're just kind of going for it. He said he bruised 3 ribs or something, right?
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And these are guys. Basically, these are just humans who have with tattoos. That's what this species was.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, makeup department didn't want to work too hard this time.
Were they born with those tattoos, or were those added later?
I think it's more of a tribal thing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
found the one in the chin very distracting, honestly.
Yeah, it was
was like-
almost like they didn't have money for a good goatee, so they're like, okay, well, we'll just tattoo something on.
Yeah.
You got a lot of pictures of bare naked men on your computer.
I thought
right?
you guys were gonna want to see them, so I thought I got as many as I could.
Oh,
Those
you
guys
did
are in
that
good
for
shape,
us.
and-
You did that
I did it for you guys. I did it for you.
Oh, I see. Why are they all meticulously labeled, Dave? No,
Just because
This scene was interesting. This scene was interesting where Clancy Brown was coming up
I
to
did
him
like
and-
this,
and
yeah.
he did actually respect him when he said, I got to take this call.
yeah.
Right. He's like, "Hey, you want to come back and play some more wiffle ball?"
Well, and that's kind of, I think that was more for the audience because when you're watching the scene, you're like, okay, well, maybe, this is when we find out that these guys are actually terrorists and Archer's getting called back to the ship, right?
Right.
And, at this point, he's like, oh, no, I'll respect you. Everybody, hang out for a little while longer while we wait on his phone call. But, I guess it's to give him a little bit more humanity, a little bit more, maybe he isn't as bad of a guy as we were just led to believe he is.
Still think that he's going to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and every time you see Clancy, you think he's going to be the bad guy. Like
Or
It's
he's
just-
he's not on the level for sure. Yeah. There's that distracting
Yeah, it is.
yeah, because everyone's got a different pattern or whatever. It almost looks Arabic in some ways, like a jinn, like in Supernatural, Kevin.
Mhm.
It's just like whatever. And then he's like, we had to wear this caste system, these cloaks, and it was very bad. And then we got rid of it, but then they didn't get rid of it. And
You like this tapestry? Take it.
yeah.
Well, he's trying to please his guest, right? Like that's, I get the impression he doesn't get a lot of guests to begin with, but he also obviously has an ulterior motive.
I did like that though. Which one do you like? That one? It's yours.
It's
It's too-
yours.
It's too big. Let's say, it's too big. Okay, well, you'll like this. It was made by the Suliban. But when I watched this the second time, it occurred to me that he already knew what was going on. Like, because at that point, he's like, you'll like this. It was created by a Suliban, and he hands it to him, and you're like, he already knows about Archer, right?
I mean, like that little thing he gives him at the beginning here. Where is that?
Yeah, the
during the meal.
weird sculpture
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
They're eating nutsack soup. or
Nutsack
whatever.
and blood soup.
Yeah, you see it here. Yeah, it's like this
Yeah.
Suliban little thing, and he doesn't even look that happy.
I think it's like an iPad holder or something.
he seems like he has reservations. He's like, oh, a Suliban.
Well, I
Huh?
think at this point he's kind of like, well, why is he giving me a Suliban thing?
Yeah.
right.
Where are we going with this now? Are they going to show up?
Yeah, or the Suliban here, something going on.
But no, we find out he's a legend.
Yes, he's the man who will take on anybody. I really got to.
Yeah,
pause that
they're
thing.
like those like William Wallace can shoot lightning bolts from his eyes and bolts of fire or fire from his ass or whatever. He's just kind of he's like, well, we did it wasn't thousands of Sulibans. It was like maybe 30.
Yeah,
it
there was
was-
like 30, and
There was
I barely
no
had to do
army,
anything.
just a couple prison guards, and we shot
and they
a few
really weren't
places.
all that hard about it. Like,
And they
Yeah.
lost 2 guys. They still lost 2 guys.
Right. So it's just like how rumor and legend kind of spread. How hope and desperation are sort of like hand in hand with like the sort of this cause.
But like, I guess we touched on it, but is this the episode where Archer realizes, what I do matters?
yeah.
Like,
he
Me-
definitely realizes it in the next episode.
yeah.
Okay.
but maybe I guess it's important that way though, because I think Archer just acts with impunity. Whatever I do doesn't matter, and now we sort of figuring
Well,
out.
and this gets back to the whole life lesson thing with him, right? Because that's one of the things. That's one of the gripes that I have about season 1, but also kind of what I like about it, because we don't get the perfect captain. We don't get the captain that knows how to deal with a lot of things. We get this faulty guy who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he does things wrong all the time. And it's now we're getting the repercussions of that, right?
And we are very annoyed with him because he's not a Picard, he's not a
That's
Cisco,
right.
and
I think you're right, Adam. I think this is where he's starting to think about what he's doing instead of just doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's like, oh, what are the repercussions of these decisions?
Like you always got the because he said it, but Picard was always like, I am a Starfleet captain, and what we do matters. Like we have a purpose in Starfleet and the Federation.
The moral compass was always pointing the right way with
exactly.
him.
And now Archer is like, holy shit, man! I've been out here 10 months now, and I've only done a little bit of things, but in some cases,
he's like Janeway
word travels.
of pissing off people. Like
he also doesn't get any guidance from home.
No, that's another thing. Like, what's the point of those guys? But anyway, that's a
whatever you want to do, John. Well, I'm not out there.
I'm not out there. You do it.
Don't come home.
You want to offend a powerful race? You go ahead and you offend a powerful race. John, I'm not out there.
We're just mesmerized by comic pictures.
Opinion on how you represent the entire human race.
Yeah.
Like a planet of billions. We picked Archer.
It's all you, John. Just do it.
Thinking more about it though, this could be like a quietly pivotal episode in Enterprise, right?
Yes.
It could have been more. I think there was more potential here than what we ended up getting. In some ways, it's fine. It's not terrible, but it's for me, it's very like sort of. I
said, I see what they're going for. I just don't think they quite.
But they did that a lot, like I mean, honestly,
yeah.
This isn't new ground. Like we've seen this in every other Star Trek series for the most part. So,
Yep.
Can we just talk about the uniforms again?
Sure.
And these sunglasses. How often do you ever see Starfleet officers wear sunglasses, especially as cool as those?
This totally makes sense though. Like
totally
if you're going
sense.
on a planet with two suns, and
I'm not saying it. I didn't say it didn't make sense.
No, I just think it's great.
I think you think they're cool, Dave, because I'm pretty sure you've owned Trip's glasses.
Wait
I think
I
you have.
made a picture of him at a certain marathon yesterday with the glasses on like that.
No, not like that. I was wearing these ones. These are not the wraparound type. These are more just like the more Ray-Ban type. But it's all good. It's all good.
I do have a pair of these white ones though.
But you almost never see Starfleet wear sunglasses. Like
it's true. You don't. Yeah.
I wonder where they filmed this, because you even got the sweat stains here, unless that was sprayed.
Oh, this is probably like the desert area of Vegas.
Yeah,
like something like that.
Well,
we should find that out. We should find out if that comes up in Fun Facts with Adam.
Maybe.
Yeah, actually, better check on that.
Yeah, like even when they play the game, they take the sunglasses off. I was like, you'd still want the sunglasses, guys.
Well, maybe they're worried that they're going to get hit, and shards of the sunglasses are going to go in their face.
Maybe.
I'm sure they're not rated for lacrosse or whatever the hell this is called. Just Quidditch,
Star Trek Quidditch.
Star Trek Quidditch before Quidditch was cool. I don't know.
Is Quidditch cool?
No, Quidditch has never been cool, Dave. Just so you know.
Okay, just
all right.
checking.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So we find out that these guys are terrorists, and guess what? Now they're in trouble because why, gentlemen? Because Trip's there. That's why.
Yeah, the whole heat exhaustion with Trip, like all of that stuff, it's
Makes
not
sense,
very.
Though.
It makes sense. But it just doesn't really. It's not super engaging for me. It was like sort of I was just waiting for that to end.
For what they were going for in the episode, it was unnecessary.
Yes.
Like
it seemed like they didn't have enough.
Leave the complex, though. I wasn't really
exactly. Sure. They were in their shuttle pod was there. Like, why did they leave it?
Why are you running? Yeah, get to your shuttle pod. Fight them off that way.
I think they try to.
I'm sure that shuttle pod has some sort of security system built in,
or water emergency rations. Like,
yeah. Yeah, there's emergency rations in there. We
Even if
already
they
know there's
stopped in the
emergency
shuttle pod,
rations.
picked up the emergency kit, and then went, I would have liked it more. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well, the house above them was destroyed, right?
No, I
And
get
then-
that, Dave. I'm understanding that. Like, but why did they have to keep going? Because they could have just left and then come back in.
Yeah. Where were they even going?
Not there.
Just out aimlessly in a direction, hoping that they were going to find shelter.
That way, Dave.
They were going east, I think, because the town was east. But then they're going towards
the
people
attackers
that are shooting at them. Like it makes no fucking sense.
I like to believe that they were going west because life is peaceful there.
I heard that.
I've heard that too. I think there was even a song about it.
There may be.
Yeah, like it was just.
In the open.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of filler. Like it's like in this when they come across this like barren house in the middle of like nowhere, and they're like, "Oh, we found a water supply." And he's like, "Well, it's not a really good water supply." And then he's like, "Well, I'm gonna stun it and see, and that should sterilize the water." I
And
love
then,
that.
Like the fucking, I'll knock you on your ass, and
Yeah.
I order you to drink this, and I order this. I was just like, Jesus Christ! Like,
Yeah, these two should just be married. Like it would probably be easier.
I was into this episode right up until they were walking across the desert, and then I was just bored.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like a good desert scene, like in like Spaceballs or something like that. Like you know,
Right. Or even like when like a good remember when like Picard and Beverly
Even that
Crusher-
episode- yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah, the Wesley and Picard episode.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about the one where it was Picard and Beverly Crusher where they were like telepathically linked for a while, and it wasn't really a desert episode, but it
Well,
was
they
more
were in like a cave.
That
kind
was
of
a good
thing.
episode. I mean, the cave,
was a good
the Wesley Crutcher was the cave one where they had that water that was protected by that guardian
yes,
or whatever.
that was a good
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
too. So like
Yeah, that was the episode before Wesley leaves for the academy, I think, right?
even the one where Cisco and Esri Dax are running through the desert looking for like the orb of whatever. Like that was
One
better
of the
for me.
800
Yeah.
Dragon Balls or orbs or
Yeah.
whatever
But
the
at
hell it
least
is
they
they're
didn't
looking
have
for.
Uhura singing with feathers.
No, that would have made this better. Imagine if you get them in the foreground and then in like the far background you see like Uhura doing that. Like that would have been amazing.
Just as a side
Wait a
note,
second.
I hope
We're on this planet.
She's not
I
even
hope
born.
Strange New Worlds does justice to Uhura.
I hope they at least give her a dance number somewhere in there.
Dance never with feathers. Come on.
And never
She-
just
she-
don't make her sing,
wow.
please. We don't need to hear her sing.
Oh,
Yeah.
she'll be singing. Don't you worry. She'll be.
I am worried.
You're literally talking the best part about Star Trek 5.
Is that
Was
the best
that
part
scene?
of Star Trek 5?
Oh, well, yes, but when you compare Star Trek 5, that would make sense.
That's a sleeper. I
Yes.
actually enjoy that movie every time I watch it.
You enjoy it because it puts you to sleep? Is that why?
Yeah, well, he started off the sentence with sleeper, so I guess
Yeah,
that
I
makes
know.
sense.
What does God need with a starship?
What does God need with a star? I did like that part actually, but anyway. Yeah, there's not really anything else to say about this episode. Like, yeah, and it eventually ends
Abruptly.
abruptly for the most part. Yeah. Guess what? These two get back to the ship. We kind of like the terrorist guy a bit. And
They get back to the ship, and there is no consequences for anyone.
No.
Right. He's not even
No
like doesn't even give him a
consequences.
stern word. Like,
They-
hey man, you shouldn't even have done
Yeah.
these false pretenses.
Yeah.
Like,
So Archer, and again, this is a typical Archer move, but I have a feeling that they're on the right side. He never even spoke to the other guys. He has no idea.
No, he's never even seen them face to face.
yeah,
Like,
he takes everything they say at face value just because they
Yeah.
seem like they're credible.
Yeah, but that's Archer though. Some random dude says to him, "Hey, you need to come down because I'll be easily offended if you say no." He's like, "Okay, I guess we'll put off Ryza."
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
right, starting there, red flag.
Yeah. That's why Archer sucks.
I do like that last scene though. Paul keeps looking back at him as they start to walk down the hallway. It's almost like she can't wait to tell him that he made the right decision, so he doesn't fuck it up and go do the wrong thing.
Right. Right. Like the other side of
He's
whatever
like, "Oh my
this
god,
is,
he's learning."
like, this guy, we only see him in a couple scenes. This guy, he was obviously like he was like the chancellor, right? He was like the president of the main group. He seemed like a dick.
He's
You
got
know,
got a V goatee though tattoo, so I'm
Right.
thinking he's the evil one.
But they make these guys, these administrator guys, always look like dicks, and the the rebels or whatever always are like this, tough guy,
Macho guys, yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's been done, so many times between Voyager, especially, and
Voyager has like probably 10 episodes just like this.
so many like
Yeah.
random planet Voyager gets there, and there's like some administrator who just doesn't get it, and Janeway's gonna be like, "Hey, don't be doing that."
Let us through your solar system.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just like, I think for me, it's like Brandon Braga, like sometimes his style, and Rick Berman. We talk about franchise fatigue, but I think it was just like these guys, like the creative, like
Berman
heads of
fatigue. Yeah.
Berman fatigue, I think also is part of it, because there was a certain regime in charge of Star Trek for so many years. And like, they kind of had their way of doing things, and it needed to be shooken up.
Yeah, if you take this previous episode that we watched last week, and the one we're going to be watching next week, if you take those 3 episodes and actually kind of compress them together into like 1 hour and a half episode, it probably would have been better. Like, it almost feels like these 3 episodes really were supposed to be 1 episode.
Or a 2-parter,
right?
maybe.
Or a 2-parter, yeah. And maybe they had to stretch something out to kind of give you an extra episode or something.
Paul's just trying to get him laid. Like, it's why.
Well, wait until you see the next episode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But
the next episode is fantastic.
I'm going to be in Nova Scotia next Monday, so I'm not totally sure I'll make it. But
yeah, if you guys hate next week's episode, I will be shocked. It is so much fun.
I love
It's
Ryza.
stupid goofy, but it's a lot lot of fun.
Goofy's.
There's a couple serious scenes in it, but for the most part, it's great. We get a great scene with Phlox in it. We get Trip and Reed going out on the town in their jumpsuits. Oh, it's fantastic. They got like Trip's got this like Leisure Suit Larry like jumpsuit thing going on. It's fantastic.
Dave, you'll have to be here. That's hot uniform talk.
Oh,
I know.
Dave will definitely have a problem with the uniforms.
Maybe I'll try to like I'll meet up with Davin and broadcast from his location.
That would be cool.
Well,
Yeah.
it's on at 9:00, like Halifax time, so you'll be okay.
I should be
Yeah,
okay.
you'll probably be all right. Yeah,
Yeah,
you might have a couple pints into you by then, but
yeah, perhaps. Well, hopefully. So yes, fly out Friday and come back next Wednesday.
we'll save
Tuesday night.
travels.
Yes. Well, how about some fun facts?
Let's
How
go.
about some?
So this is a pretty cool one. I like this. Is Star Trek Enterprise established an annual tradition of featuring crew members from the real life aircraft carrier, the USS Enterprise, in cameo roles. This happened. This first happened in this episode and continued as in Star Trek Enterprise First Flight in 2003. As a courtesy advance, copies of the first season were sent to the carrier.
So yeah, here's some of those sailors as they were.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because some of them did kind of feel like they really weren't like actual good extras. Like they were just kind of there. So
Yeah, they weren't
That's
real
awesome.
actors.
That's a nice nod after 9/11.
That is cool.
Forces,
Yeah.
From
That
the
is
USS Enterprise.
So the sailors were Robert Pickering and Sarah Pizzo, and Timothy Whittington, Visitington sailors from the real life Enterprise, play engineering officers aboard the USS Enterprise.
cool.
NX-01.
Very cool.
Oshii, Sato, and T'Pol have a conversation that foreshadows the Prime Directive in this episode.
That will never stick, like Pike said.
Yeah, it'll never stick.
Never a stick. Hey, so we didn't talk about that whole, the geography game.
Yeah,
So they were talking about.
that's recycled, right?
Hmm?
It's like recycled from another episode or something.
It was
I
never
remember
used in the
briefly
other
something, yeah.
episode, but we'll come to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, the scene.
I'm reading fun facts.
Yeah, Archer and Tucker play the geography game was recycled from a deleted scene in Star Trek episode Fight or Flight in 2001. The original version of the scene featured Archer and Mayweather aboard the Enterprise and shared much of the same dialogue.
I feel like
So
it
if you
should
think
have
that
remained
episode-
deleted.
Yeah, so if you think that part of the episode was boring, wait until Mayweather does it. Oh boy.
Well, they realized and decided to cut it, I guess.
Yeah, that was a good call. Good call.
Yeah. Archer and Trip are wearing ball caps and are possibly a throwback to Navy personnel. Both shipboard and aviation personnel wear ball caps with the ship and the squadron name they were assigned to.
Not good for the desert uniform. Right? Just
No. Trip
I'd say
says
they
it's
pointed out.
hotter than hell out here at 41 degrees centigrade. That's approximate to 105.8 degrees, or roughly the equivalent of an average high temperature in Phoenix in July.
Since we're Canadians, though, we're all
Yeah,
familiar
we
with-
understood that.
Yeah,
You know what I like about this? I like the fact that in the future we've finally concluded that the Americans are wrong and they need to use the metric system.
Mhm. The Americans
know
themselves
that.
have concluded this. They even don't use pounds anymore. They use kilos. We don't even go that far.
Yeah, we don't go that far.
Yep.
Pounds are fine. We can keep those.
There was an Aliens nod in this episode. Aliens the movie, which I love.
Me too.
When Trip says how hot it is, Archer makes a humorous remark, but it's a dry heat. This is
Yeah.
the same joke that Private Hudson made in Aliens and was an obvious nod. They're in the perimeter, man.
To be quite honest, I heard it and I never even thought of that. But yeah, that's neat. I love that movie.
Oh, who doesn't? You know, if
I
you
don't
don't watch that movie at least once a year, holy cow.
No, I
I'm
watched that
not a
couple
big
times.
fan of that franchise. I gotta tell you,
Oh,
Nor am I.
Dave. Oh.
I don't like Predator that much either.
Well, I can live without
The only
Predator.
good Predator actually was Predator versus Alien.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, I love the first one. It's so
First one's fun.
campy and amazing.
Get to the chopper.
All right, and then finally, this is sadly, actually, not just finally, sadly and finally, Dr. Phlox does not appear in this episode.
Yeah, that sucks.
Why would you
What
need
were
a
they
doctor?
thinking?
Why would you need a doctor this episode?
But they make up for it in the next episode because he's got
They
a
do.
fantastic scene in the next episode.
You know, he's just a strong actor, and he didn't get what he deserved in the first season, especially for all the makeup he's got to put on.
Yeah, like he probably sits in a chair for 6 hours to do that makeup. And then,
Like, was John Billingsley busy doing plays or something? Was there a
Maybe.
reason?
Maybe.
Like, okay. Do you know where this was shot, Adam?
I don't actually. I didn't look at that yet. 1 second.
I got it. It took place in Southern California near Mexico.
Well, makes sense.
Yeah.
well, I was stayed over, but
Space Lacrosse, they said. They call it here.
space cross. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, how about some ratings, guys?
Sure.
Let's get to ratings. And add to stream. All right. Desert Crossing. Jody, what would you give this one?
This is a 7.
7 for Jody. Adam?
Yeah, I was going to go a lot lower, but I'm going to say 7 as well. Look at me and Jody, and I'm going with Jody every week now. But the reason being is I think this was a sort of a pivotal Archer episode where he may have realized he's got some importance in the world, or in the universe.
This is 6.8.
Just has to be lower.
No, he wants to bring it down to the IMDb number.
Kevin, where are you going to fall? 6.9?
No, I'm gonna do 7 as well.
Yeah, I'm an outlier here.
I know.
All
Why
right.
so negative, Dave?
I don't know. I'm not that negative. But if I never came back to this, it'd be fine. And so, yeah, this has a 6.9 on IMDb. So it's very it's very consistent. Like we're like, it's about a 7 out of 10. It's fine.
The fact that Kevin has an average of 6.1 is bizarre to me. Like the fact that we're even that high in the first season is
No. You know, Kevin, if you look at first half versus second half, I think Kevin's actually averages have come up in the,
Oh,
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
they have.
It's getting better. It's not.
there was
quite
that one he
bad.
gave it 2.5. Civilization.
civilization.
That's his
I
all-time
can't argue
low.
that hard with him on that one.
Hey,
but
that's
I was
all
a lot
right.
nicer to
Remember,
it.
Deep Space Nine, my favorite of all the Star Treks. I gave an episode a 0.
Which one?
Yeah.
I don't remember now.
You see, it's not even worth remembering, Jody.
I want
It
to
was
know that.
The Muse, I think. It was probably a Jane
Yeah,
episode. or
Probably
something.
the Muse.
Oh, the Muse is a terrible episode.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So,
I don't know if I'd
question
give it a
before we
0,
head
but-
into next week. Again, Archer is in charge, right? Nobody's telling him where to go, when to go, anywhere. Like clearly, Admiral Forrest isn't. And why are they staying 2 days and 2 nights? They could stay a week.
Because Archer's an ass and they have other things to do.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a short.
It made a good. Well, it made a good name for an episode, I guess.
Maybe, but they could do like half the crew gets 2 days and 2 nights, and the other half so it would be 4 days and 4 nights. I don't know.
Yeah, because they talk about how they basically draw straws for who gets to go.
Why? There's no
Really?
rush.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they draw like only half the crew gets to go.
I'd be pissed off if I was a crew member and I couldn't go. I've been in space.
It's almost like a lottery. Yeah, it's like a lottery.
Like, well, sorry, chef, you can't go. Who's gonna?
Well,
cook?
I guess because this is a more primitive ship, though. Like it doesn't have the same automation that maybe the newer ships have.
But then stay longer.
They can eat on the planet. And well, I'm just thinking the chef's not going to get to go short leave, but the chef we never get to.
We never see the chef until
somebody else can cook.
Yeah,
okay,
cook and whatever else they do.
The chef is Riker. We already know that. But anyway,
right. He gets to play that later on, but yeah, I'm with you, Adam. Yeah, come on, where's the rights of the?
I don't
labor?
think you need
for the lower decks guys because they're staying back.
Trip and Malcolm probably shouldn't be on Riser for more than 2 days based on how they're doing things. So probably makes sense. Maybe it's to avoid international incidents.
Are you saying it's
only
complete
get 2
hedonistic?
days?
And Dr. Flox is going to go into hibernation in that episode?
Yes, but then they have to wake him up, which creates one of the coolest moments in the show.
And Michael Dorn directed the next episode.
Yes, he did.
Worf, your favorite, Jody.
Worf is so overrated. I'm sorry.
Well, Davin and I are big Worf fans. So,
that's fine. Everybody has their fans.
We have much to discuss.
Yes.
There's even people that like Loxana Troy, and I don't understand that either. But
yeah, she's a polarizing character. I'll give you that. Most people don't seem to like her. I'm okay with Loxana Troy.
I like
She's
Loxana
a nightmare,
Troy,
but I
especially
like most of the episodes.
Whatever. You know the one.
Uh,
no, you know what I liked her in was the one with the Ferengis.
where she's naked with Troy.
Menage a Troy.
Menage a Troy, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a good episode, but it's an interesting episode.
I like it. I like that one. Okay, well, we're coming up on our hour here. We can do our plugs.
All right.
Well, we have less plugs now.
Yeah.
But Kevin's got to go.
Kevin's got to go. So good night, Kevin.
Right.
Hey, Kevin.
See you guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, we'll see you. Yeah, I feel like I've got like so much less on my plate right now because Big Brother ended last week. So like it's just like I don't have those 3 podcasts going on. So it's much. I feel like I'm footloose and fancy free, if you will. But we're still covering Survivor season 42 on Super Mario Brothers Podcasting every Wednesday. It's our sister channel or brother channel, maybe. And also coming up this Thursday, as we do every Thursday, we're talking about the newest episode of Star Trek because we just wrapped up Star Trek Picard season 2. Talked about all those episodes, and now it's Star Trek Strange New. Yeah, well, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is now kicked off. We got the newest episode coming up this week.
I'm worried about this show.
I'm loving it so far, but you can be worried. It's okay.
One episode in, Dave. I think we have our goggles on right now. I'm hoping.
That's what I was telling you guys on Picard. You were all like, "Oh, we love Picard," and I was like, I
don't regret watching season 2 though. I got a lot of good stuff out of it.
Well, that's why we have this discourse to kind of figure out, that we're all different and we all like different things about these shows. And so, you might.
I think Worf is overrated. So,
and I think he's the greatest ever. So, we have a different opinion on that.
True.
Who's right, who's wrong, who's to say? But I think that on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, you might never like it as much as the rest of us, and that's okay.
I like that episode though. I really liked it.
You gave it a 9. You gave it a 9. Oh, Adam, what was your rating on the episode?
Oh, it's 9.5.
9.5.
Really liked it.
What didn't you like about it?
What didn't I like about it? I'll tell you what I didn't like about it. The opening that was almost the same as freaking Generations.
The opening. Just how it's
the making the eggs, the horses again. Like we're in the damn horses all the time.
Like horses. Yeah, it's okay.
It was the same. Yeah, no. I wish they didn't do that. But anyway, other than that, I really liked it.
Okay. There you go. Children of the Comet is episode 2. That's coming up this Thursday. So that's when we'll be talking. I guess we'll still keep our 8 p.m. Time slot, right? For talking about that. So that's when we'll be breaking that down. And what else am I forgetting? Trivial Debates, a monthly show. We are movies, TV, sports. It's usually the last Sunday of every month. I guess that will be coming up on May 29th. I don't have anything put together for that yet, but that will be coming up our way later this month. Eamon Mater hosted the most recent one with Tim Seymour and Matt George and Kevin Millard competing. It was a very interesting one, so check that out.
I believe train wreck is the word you're looking for, but anyway.
Well, I like the word interesting, so I go with that one. So those are all our different podcasts in the network. And then we have our friends podcast, including Dab and Skellhorn, my cousin and yours. Out of Nova Scotia, he's got Locutors of Trek, where they do writer's room pitches and different segments, trivia, and a whole kinds of intellectual discussions on some things around Star Trek, as well as he's got his X-Men, the animated series, Rewatch series. He does every Tuesday, X-Rated. Which is in full force. He does that with Andre going through each episode.
It's completely false advertising.
Why?
Because it's called X-rated.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's very
like if you're tuning in for some sexy times, it's not going to happen.
No,
but if you want some X-Men, that's
the creator. When they interviewed the creators, Eric and Julia Leewald, they were like being a little X-rated with our this title, like a little blue, if you will. Anyway, so that's
that title, though.
Yeah, it's a good title. Check out Davin's
like calling
podcast.
your band Bare Naked Ladies,
So right. Similar
it's a similar
approach.
Yeah.
Michael Chan, Discovery Zone. Michael Chan, along with Alex Blackburn, they do the Hellbound podcast every Wednesday, often with Jessica Chan. I talk about something horror themed. And then my son Eamon, he's got his Let's Talk About Fighting Games podcast. He does under his alias Sam Jerka, along with Super Sonic Smash Bros. Seth and Paranoia.
And they don't talk about Mega Man.
They don't, only on bonus episodes, guys.
Only on bonus episodes.
Yeah, it's only on bonus episodes, not in the main channel. So that's all going on. So check out our friends' podcasts, all of those and ours, if you like what we do here. Make sure to like and subscribe and share and comment. We really appreciate the feedback. We'll hope you'll be with us next week for what's it called? 2 days and 2 nights. But the podcast will only be an hour, probably.
Yes. 2 days and 2 days. They finally get to Raza.
Yeah, they finally get to Rise. I'm excited for that. All right. And so maybe we should go out on something here. I don't know. Oh, well, since we're going to Ariza next week, let's go out on a quote from that. Live long and podcast, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Riza receives millions of visitors every year, and all of them leave happy.